Force will be with you, always.
Hey up, it's Steve from the Old Yorkshire Geek. I'm back again, 2 days in a row, and a live news stream. I thought, seeing as it's May the 4th, Star Wars Day, we'll do a special one that's got a few, well, mostly Star Wars stories. The last couple aren't Star Wars related, but they're just a bit of fun, as is my hat. This is my cosplay, Scarif, rebel soldier chap that I used to go round in when I used to cosplay things. I dug it out of my box over there. It were all covered in dust and it's all uncomfortable and sweaty. But anyway, right, so before we start, all the links for the stories are in the description. And don't forget, like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed already. I'm also on Rumble, or I will be, on Rumble, Spotify, Amazon Music Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Links in the description, as are the links for my 2 books. Silent Predator, a short horror novella. Mercury Rapids, light-hearted sci-fi action adventure. They're both on Amazon, Kindle and paperbacks, just a bit of fun. Don't expect too much, I mean, for crying out loud. But anyway, right, off we go. Let's have a look at this news. May the Force be with you and all that. Why is that not coming on? Do you know why? Because I don't think I have anyway. I haven't included it, no. I knew I'd forgot something. Right, off we go. It should work this time. There we go. This is from Bounding into Comics, so it could get spicy. Star Wars rumour claims Lucasfilm executives want to include Luke, Han and Leia in an upcoming Dave Filoni project. Here we go, and there they are. In Return of the Jedi, that's obviously Han, Luke, and 3PO, and over here there's Leia with her coke fingernail, and Chewie. Over on the other, in the co-pilot seat, they're on the shuttle there, aren't they? They're approaching the second Death Star. A new Star Wars, or I don't know, what do you reckon? Are they approaching the second Death Star, or is it the bit where he says, I get the feeling I'm not going to see her again, when he's looking at the Millennium Falcon? I think it's later on. Because in that scene, Leia's behind him, isn't she? When you see a coke fingernail. Right, a new Star Wars rumour claims Lucasfilm executives want to include Luke Skywalker, Han Solo and Leia Organa, I nearly said Leia then, in an upcoming Dave Filoni project. And there he is, in his silly hat. I mean, who wears silly hats in this day and age? I don't know. This rumour comes from Scooper WDW Pro and his amazing voice in a recent YouTube upload. It's people with amazing voices must sort of like gather together, they attract each other because it was like Valiant Renegade and his amazing voice that kind of got WDW Pro into the public eye. Anyway, the Scooper detailed, in regards to a Dave Filoni, and I don't know which one, That doesn't even make sense. Apparently, Lucasfilm believes that they should put the original 3 characters, the big ones, Luke, Leia and Han, together for a cameo. Bit late now, innit? Bit late now, you had your chance, you blew it. He continued, what's being told to me is that apparently people at Lucasfilm believe that if they put this in one of these Dave Filoni projects, I don't know if it's Ahsoka, I don't know if it's the Mandoverse movie, whatever it is, but if they put that in there, they can placate both sides, they can make everybody happy, and they can boost the ratings, boost the box office if it's the movie. But they can boost the excitement around this simply by putting them in there. Yeah, a little bit, but, I don't think too much, because it's too late. They've blown it, haven't they? They had the chance to put them all together in the sequel trilogy, and they blew it because they didn't want to, because they were petty and, peevish, and they didn't want to do it, because they wanted to do their new characters, and they wanted to, kill the past, or whatever it was. As Kylo Ren said. Anyway, sorry. Very unprofessional. Got some gum in my mouth. I forgot. Put it up there on my monitor. Save it for later. Well, going into battle, I need my gum to chew on. And even if it is a mediocre project, let's say, it will be lifted by those three, he added, and they think that might repair some of the damage to the sequel trilogy and what's done to the fan base. A little bit, but I don't think not by much. Interestingly, this rumour comes on the heels of a previous rumour from WDW Pro indicating that Lucasfilm did not see Luke Skywalker as a significant part of the matrix of new content going forward. In that rumour, WDW Pro revealed his source informed him that Luke Skywalker was at best allowed to be an occasional cameo. From there he relayed that the company sees Luke as a cobwebbed character. He's a museum piece. You belong in the it belongs in a museum. So do you. That's from, obviously, Indiana Jones, another Lucasfilm property. He sells, but he's not a significant part of the matrix of the new content going forward. So if Grogu is going to stay with Luke, then you lose Grogu. He's out of sight with the exception of some glancing exposure. Don't know what they're talking about. Later in the video, he reiterated his sources of information. The page has turned on Luke Skywalker. Lucasfilm said regarding current active media, cameos and on-screen references to him are the best anyone can expect going forward. Nothing more, don't ask. All the way from Kathleen Kennedy. Well, obviously, because for some reason she hates the original trilogy. I don't know why. Was she not allowed in or something? Did they banish her? Was she banned from the ranch? Was she anymore? George made a grievous error, forgive the pun, putting her in charge, didn't he? Anyway, in fact, he noted this didn't just pertain to Luke Skywalker, but all of the original trilogy characters. He explained, the original trilogy characters are stuck in the past, good for stunt cameos and for legitimising new characters and stories. However, various partners believe if they become desperate enough that Luke Skywalker can be used as a Hail Mary. That's, obviously somebody... They're at Lucasfilm, obviously they have no love for the original trilogy. They're just thinking forward. They're not thinking, with any reverence to the past. They're just thinking a product moving forward. That's it. This new rumour allegedly comes out of Lucasfilm following the re-release of Star Wars Episode 6 Return of the Jedi into theatres. The film was the fourth highest grossing movie this past weekend, just barely being edged out of third place by Lionsgate's Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. The film grossed $5.1 million. However, the film was only showed in 475 theatres compared to the films that bested it, such as the Super Mario Brothers movie, which was shown in 4,204 theatres, Evil Dead Rise, which was in 3,417 theatres, and Lionsgate's film, the one we just mentioned, was shown in 3,334. Never heard of it. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. It sounds crap. It might not be, but the title's not very good, is it? Anyway, given the low theatre count and its box office haul, the movie actually brought in the most money per theatre with an average of $10,738 per theatre. Bums on seats, that's what it is, isn't it? Obviously, these were full theatres. The Super Mario Brothers movie was close to that number with a per theatre average of gross of $9,714. And there's Leia in Return of the Jedi in the famous bikini with salacious bee crumb behind her. Don't know what the B stands for. And why does he have a middle name? Why does he have a middle initial? Clearly there is money to be had in George Lucas's trilogy, but it is also abundantly clear that despite what these rumours claim, Lucasfilm executives are saying the people making the final decisions, such as the Walt Disney Company CEO Bob Iger and Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy, are uninterested in this money. Because they're all about, the message, aren't they? No, these executives have made abundantly clear they're more interested in teaching gender identity and sexual orientation to children than they are about making high-quality Star Wars content that stays true to the original trilogy's vision of the Star Wars universe. Exactly. How dare she stand there on the stage with, actually, mostly probably sequel trilogy characters, even one that didn't even make it into the film there behind, a constable... I can't remember his name. It did have a Z in it. Zeppo, something like that. Mostly. Got an Ewok there. But all the rest, I think, are sequel trilogy characters, are they? Obviously. Apart from, obviously, the Ewok and him. But that's from the sequel trilogy. I bet that's from the sequel trilogy, because I think they showed some Ewoks at one point in them, didn't they? I'm sure they did. Did they? Am Am I getting myself tangled up? Probably. Anyway, what do you make of this latest Star Wars rumour about Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Leia Organa? I've told you what I think. I think it's too late. They've missed their chance. Yeah, it'll get some people excited. It'll get me excited to see them, but it won't make me, think, oh, cool, Disney Star Wars is saved. No, not going to happen. Not going to happen. Right, let's move on. So, thank you, John F. Trent. The great John F. Trent. My husband wants to name our son after Darth Vader, but I'm worried it will haunt him for life. This is from the Mail Online. A woman asked people's advice on whether to name her child after Darth Vader. She explained on Reddit that they like the name Anakin, but is not a Star Wars buff. There we go. A woman asked people's advice on whether to name her second-born after Darth Vader in a resurfaced online post. Does this mean it's from, obviously, resurfaced? It must be from the past. Excuse me. The anonymous woman, proofreaders, there must be a dying breed. Coffee's cold. By the way, can you hear any noises in the background? I've got the washing machine on. I'm so professional. I am so professional. Where were we? The anonymous woman, believed to be from the UK, took to Reddit to explain that she and her husband named their firstborn Rowan after the riders in The Lord of the Rings. But that were Rohan, wasn't it? Never mind. Obviously a... what's the word for a word that sounds the same as another word? A phononym, is it? I just made that up. It might be. I don't know. However, she admitted they were torn about naming their child Anakin after the villain in Star Wars. Well, he was a villain in the original trilogy, but in the prequel trilogy, he was a goodie until the end. When she admitted they were torn about naming their child Anakin after the villain in Star Wars, despite both liking the name. What the hell is this here? What was that? I don't know. Top Stories. Oh, there we go. That's like my house, that. She explained that it's the connection to the film's villain that bothers her because she isn't a huge Star Wars buff. The post read, Help. My husband wants to name our baby Anakin. Yup. Oh, for God's sake. I bet the millennials. Bet they are. So we just found out. Oh, what's happening there? So we just found out that we're expecting again. And although we have a girl's name picked out, an apostrophe there, love, we are torn on boys' names. Another apostrophe probably after this. Education, eh? We named our older son Rowan. It was inspired by the riders of Rohan on Lord of the Rings because we wanted something a little less common without being totally unheard of, which brings us to our current conundrum. I really like the name Maxwell, although I'm slightly worried it and other Max variations are getting too popular. Max is a fine name. My husband loves the name Anakin. I've never liked it. Sorry if you've named your kid Anakin, by the way. I think it was a mistake on your part. Poor kid. I know it is actually a name. Well, the only other time I've heard it is one of the directors of The Longest Day were called Ken Anakin. That's the only time I've heard it. And I wouldn't be surprised if George Lucas called him that after Ken Anakin. Anyway, I don't mind the name itself, but that was a surname. I don't mind the name itself. It's what is connected to that bothers me. I feel like our poor kid would go through his whole life hearing how he's named after Darth Vader. Well, at least he's not called Adolf or, Stalin. Oh, pardon me. But he's our kid, Pol Pot. Saying that, though, there's a singer called Pol Pot, isn't there? Thought to change that, wouldn't you? God, it's getting sweaty under here. I might have to take this off soon. Where were we? I'm going to say something else and I can't remember what it was. Oh, yeah, not to mention that they just keep calling him Annie. And he'd be getting little orphan Annie jokes all through his school days, wouldn't he? Kids would be going up to him saying, Hey, Annie, will the sun come out tomorrow? We aren't even huge Star Wars buffs, but my hubs, oh, for God's sake, they're annoying. Yes, call him Anakin. But my hubs uses the excuse that we weren't die-hard Lord of the Rings fans and we named our first after that. Well, you're obviously idiots, aren't you? I'm sorry. I hope it's nobody I know. He really likes the sound of the name. I don't know what to do here. Do you name us? What? Have any suggestions? What the hell's a name? She later added, thank you for all your advice. So it seems that the general consensus is no matter how much you may like the name, it's a bad idea due to the exclusive connection to Star Wars. No, just the bad idea because it'll be called Annie. And people will be going up to saying, singing that Michael Jackson song, Smooth Criminal. Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Lean. The will. I'll read. By the way, that's the post. I'll read some of your responses to him and hopefully the husband, not the son. Hopefully we can come up with a better name that we both like, one that won't scar him for life. I wonder what they went with. Many rush to the comments to leave their own thoughts on the name, with one person saying it's like calling a baby girl Oprah. I'm Richie Cunningham, and this is my wife, Oprah. 10 points, who knows what that's of. One person said, the thing is, regardless of how big of fans you are and aren't of either series, Anakin is much more recognisable than Rowan. Rowan isn't going to be asked, you mean like Lord of the Rings his whole life? Anakin definitely will. Yeah, there is that as well. Because I wouldn't have, if somebody said, my name's Rowan, I said, oh, you're named after the Riders of Rohan. I wouldn't have said that, because they're not called Rowan, either they're called Rohan. I said, they're obviously idiots. I hope I don't know them. I agree with your husband that it's a great name, but it's like naming a girl Oprah. You just said that. That name already belongs to someone, and now nobody can have it unless their parents don't mind being seen as weirdo superfans and their kids being bugged about it for all eternity. Mildly related, I know of someone that named their son Hanson Solomon, a.k.a. Han Solo. It's embroidered on all his crap, ha ha. Han Solo. At least it's hidden. It's hidden in the real name, isn't it? I actually think that it's still better than Anakin, since that kid can choose to get away from it when he's older if he wants to. I'm going to set this off. Sorry. Too hot in there. Oh. Good heavens. Remember Jeddah. Right. Ooh, good heavens. Where were we? Another wrote, my name is Anaka, pronounced phonetically, Anaka. Sorry, is that A, not a I bet they're American. And even with a version like that, I hear almost every day at my retail job, oh, like Star Wars. I'd have said, I forgot her name now. Challenge Annika. Or Annika Hansen from Star Trek, 7 of 9. Anyway, or a lame joke about the Force. What her name, who did Treasure Hunt? Annika Rice, that's the one I'm thinking of, with a lovely bum she had. She won Rear of the Year multiple times, I think. Here's more images of the back and forth. My advice, skip the name. Oh, don't give him any name whatsoever. It's just kid. This is my child. We call him Child. Other compromised names like mine will just end in the same reference/jokes unless Star Wars all of a sudden loses its popularity, which I doubt will happen. Good luck. Well, it's lost some of its lustre, hasn't it? But anyway, I think some of it comes back. It goes in waves, doesn't it? And I think it's come back a little bit now with the release of Jedi Survivor. Even though that got off to a rocky start, didn't it? I think it was buggy, wasn't it? Lots of patches to be released to fix problems with it. But anyway. What about Luke instead? Not super common, yet still Star Wars related. Hang on, I've missed a bit. Someone else said Anakin, a boy nicknamed Annie. See, told you. Don't do it. I'm a massive Star Wars fan, and I think it's a terrible name for a kid named for a kid. What about Luke instead? Not super common, yet still Star Wars related. Yes, I'd say Luke's fine. Because you could say it's biblical, couldn't you? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. By the way, I think, I wonder if somebody I know. I think one of my Facebook friends' kids is called Anakin. And I did pull that face when I read that on Facebook, but I'm sure he's a lovely lad. His parents, I'm sure they're lovely people. But, mistake. Anyway, well, a fourth wrote, my 9-year-old cousin is named Anakin, and I still think it's terrible. His nickname is Annie, and I don't like that either. That said, he is a thriving, smart little boy with lots of friends, and his name hasn't held him back at all. So there you go. It depends on the kid, I suppose, doesn't it? How they can handle it. But they're still going to get bullied. to a certain degree, not bullied. What's the word? Teased. That's the word I'm looking for. Teased. Because the difference between bullying and teasing, isn't there? Not these days, but there is. Anyway, if you both don't agree with the name, you shouldn't use it regardless. I would be a little embarrassed to tell people I named my kid Anakin, but to each their own. Is that it? Yes, I think that's it. Then we go into all the other news stories. Dewsbury, don't install solar panels till you read this. Oh, okay. Load of rubbish. But there you go. Yes, so don't call him Anakin. Don't call him Darth either. We've gone for Sheev. That's what they'll say. Or Will Huff. We've been naming him Will Huff. We thought that were better because we could shorten it to Will. I bet that's what happened. I wonder what they called him. I want to know what they called the poor bairn. Right. May the 4th be with you. 5 odd news stories to celebrate Star Wars Day. And there's a couple of First Order stormtroopers. Right. Star Wars Day, aka May the 4th be with you, has once again arrived in our galaxy. But dedicated franchise fans celebrate Star Wars all year long, and those celebrations sometimes made their way to the odd news headlines. Just see what Vader's up to. He's watching some live. The washing machine's finished, it's just beeped. I'll deal with it later. The holidays celebrated each year on May the 4th, and those celebrations sometimes made their way to the odd news headlines. The holiday celebrated each year on May the 4th, or the 4th of May, began as a riff on the franchise's catchphrase, May the Force be with you. Did it? I never realised. Well, there is some disagreement about who was the first to utter the phrase, May the 4th be with you. There'll be some wag. Regardless of the holiday's specific origins, it's become a day to celebrate what makes Star Wars special, and in that spirit, we'd like to look back at some of the weird and wonderful ways that the galaxy far, far away drinking game gone cold has invaded the real world. Here are 5 times Star Wars fans brought the Jedi spirit to the headlines. Right, California Bakeries, Pan Solo. Catherine Purven and daughter Hannah-Lee Purven, the owners of One House Bakery in Benicia, California, went viral in October when they created a bread sculpture of Han Solo frozen in carbonite for a local scarecrow contest. The tribute to Harrison Ford's character from Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, dubbed Pan Solo, ended up taking second place in the contest. See, that took second place. A bread Han Solo in carbonite. And it's amazing. And that what won? What won? I want to know what won. There we go. That's amazing. Actually, there's more, isn't there? Let's click. Oh, right, here we go. Look, more amazingness. Look at that. A big bread Han Solo. How big is it? Is it life size? More close-ups. That is cool. That is cool. Is it edible? And there's like more bread and biscuits or whatever at the side. Eerily lit. Cool. I still want to know what won. Is that it? That's the end. Yeah. Oh, right. I wonder what won. Right, so there you go. So, yeah, a scarecrow. Why would you have bread in a scarecrow contest? Surely it'd attract crows, wouldn't it? Is that the point? Stop them eating the corn and eat the bread. Anyway. Poor Han being pecked to death by crows, all his eyes being gouged out and everything. That's why he's like that. Ah! Leave me alone, crows. Anyway, world's first retractable lightsaber. Alex Birkin, who runs the Alex Lab channel on YouTube, was inspired by the Jedi's signature weapon to build a lightsaber with a plasma blade that measures more than 3 feet in length and burns at a temperature of 5,072 degrees. Hot enough to cut through steel. Birkin's invention earned him a Guinness World Records title for building the world's first retractable lightsaber, the world's most dangerous toy. Right, so let's have a look at this video, shall we? Let's see it in action. I think I've seen this before.
My name is Alex Burkan and my record title is the first retractable lightsaber. All my life I was a great Star Wars fan and the lightsaber was the most wanted gadget that I wanted to have ever. Since 2013.
Oh, there we go. How's it going for 4 minutes? Anyway, we want to see it in action though. It's in building it. It's in building it. Let's see it in action. We're going to see it.
Real lightsaber in your hand. This is a first raw prototype, so it has lots of limitations.
Let's look at the end to see what it's like when they're finished. Oh, here we go. It's getting more. It was just a flame, wasn't it, really?
Thing that doesn't even exist. Sometimes we discuss our common project with James, sometimes we threaten each other with our new inventions, and we always support each other.
Let's see. I'm going to see it in action. No, we're not. Oh, there we go. No, that's showing that, isn't it?
You can see Hacksmith version is much more powerful. It definitely works longer than 30 seconds. Our duel would be extremely fast and furious because, you know...
Right, okay, very good, very good, very good. I don't think they'll be selling those, will they, in Toys R Us? Oh, if it still existed, whatever's replaced Toys R Us. Is it Smith's? Smith's Toys is that the biggest one over here in the UK. I don't know what you've got in America. Right, Darth Vader wins the lottery. Huzzah! I am the winner. A Jamaican man who won $65,911.64 jackpot from lottery operator Supreme Ventures concealed his identity by wearing a Darth Vader costume while collecting his prize. I've got a Darth Vader mask up there. Never worn it, I don't think. I don't think I have. Well, one of those with voice changer. It won me mates and just want to get rid of it. So he donated it to the shrine. That's what I call all my stuff. And it's covered in dust. I can actually see it from here. Loads of dust on it. The man identified only as W. Brown, should have been D. Vader, shouldn't he? But never mind. Told Supreme Ventures officials he donned the Sith Lord disguise because he wanted to keep his good luck under wraps for the time being. Very, very good. But no photo. Bulletproof Stormtrooper Nils Rasmussen, cool name, of Saratoga Springs, Utah, used a 3D printer to create a screen-accurate Stormtrooper costume. With one significant improvement, it's bulletproof. Rasmussen's YouTube video documenting the creation of his costume explains he wanted to improve upon the famously poor protective features of the Galactic Empire's enforcement armour, and he was inspired by a friend who works for a company that makes bulletproof components for cars. Yeah, that's fine if they shot bullets in Star Wars, which they don't, do they? They shoot laser bolts. And supposedly, the reason why it shows the goodies always hitting and killing the stormtroopers. It's because they're really good shots, apparently. And the stormtrooper arm is supposedly designed to deflect, blaster bolts, unless it's a dead-on shot. That's what the explanation when I was a kid, anyway. Don't know if that's true or not. Han Solo's $1,057,500 blaster. Illinois-based Rock Island Auctions announced Han Solo's blaster, one of 3 Blastech DL-44 heavy blasters wielded by actor Harrison Ford during the filming of 1977 Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Well, no, it was just Star Wars in 1977. Sold to the astronomical sum of $1,057,500 at an auction earlier this year. Guinness World Records confirmed the sum earned the blaster the distinction of being the most expensive prop gun ever sold at auction. And there's a photo with a signed photo of Harrison Ford. And there it is. That's it. All right, it was just 5, wasn't it? 5 stories. So there you go. 5 news stories from May the 4th. Be with you. Right, a list. Time for a list. All the Star Wars movies ranked from worst to best. I suspect I'm going to disagree with some of these, but we'll see. I better know what their worst one's going to be. I bet they say their worst one is Attack of the Clones, and I'm going to vehemently disagree with that, because I like Attack of the Clones, but let's see. Right, here we look back on... oh, no, I'm wrong. Here we look back on all the feature-length movies and rank them from worst to best, from where movies like Rise of Palpatine and The Last Jedi rank, and see if Empire Strikes Back truly is the greatest in the saga. Hey, worst. Star Wars The Rise of Palpatine. I'm surprised. We finally get all our questions answered that have been spinning through our heads since The Force Awakens. But what was the price we paid? The Rise of Palpatine, feels more like something that needs to address the concerns of fans than a crafted story. The visuals are stunning, and some of the performances, especially Adam Driver as Kylo Ren, are top-notch. Nothing against the visuals or the actors. They're just doing what's written. Go with Princess Cat up at the window again. Every time I start a show, I'm sure she can hear me. I'm sure she can hear my voice. You know, they've got good hearing, haven't they? I'm sure she can hear me. She knows what I'm doing. But the beginning feels like paint-by-numbers storytelling. What were it? Light speed skipping. Oh, God, I hate it. Saying that, I didn't hate the film because it was that stupid. I found it entertaining. It was like, watching like Plan 9 from Outer Space. It was that bad. It was good. But it was still crap. Anyway, in the past, sorry, I'm snotting. In the past, this one has been higher up on the list, but time has not made this title age well at all. In short, you originally liked it because you wanted your access, media. But then, as the years have gone by, I thought I snotted on my microphone then. As the years have gone by, you've changed your mind. Number 10, Solo, A Star Wars Story, 2018. Another one which wasn't that bad. But it wasn't that good either. I have a bad feeling about this. Ron Howard's look at a young and idealistic Han Solo, played respectably by Alden Ehrenreich, is a real mixed bag of great action, questionable plot points. Why do they need a train? Why do you need a monorail train in a galaxy where you have like anti-gravity engines and stuff? Anyway, and an ending that seems to go on forever. The movie at times tries to play too cute with its forced jokes, and then there are just the groan moments, like the reveal of how Han got his last name. They were terrible with that. And that cameo at the end. Oh, that wasn't too bad. Spoilers, it was Maul. You can't say Darth Maul, because it's not a Darth anymore, is it? Maul appeared. However, Donald Glover playing Lando Calrissian is a major highlight. Not really, I didn't particularly like him, to be honest. Even though at times, it did sound like Billy D. Williams. In fact, the whole section of the movie where he's involved is the best part. And this chapter of because it had L3, whatever they call that stupid flea bag robot. And this chapter of the franchise is one of the most beautifully shot. Yeah, but it's a bit brown, isn't it? Very brown and dismal for most of it. Anyway, but at the end of the day, it's currently the most forgettable Star Wars movie of the Disney era. To be honest, yeah, it probably is. But it's not terrible. Number 9, The Phantom Menace. I'd have this. This means Last Jedi's way up the list. Unbelievable. George Lucas has said from the beginning that Star Wars was made for kids. He was lying. It's not made for kids. It's made a film that kids can watch, but it's not made for kids. You don't get to see arms and stuff getting chopped off. And even heads. It originally had Ponda Baba's head was supposed to be chopped off in the cantina. Because there's, behind-the-scenes photos of it. So they either filmed it or they were going to film it and didn't use it. It just showed the arm with blood. Yeah, it's for kids. And he really took that to heart when he unveiled Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, 16 years after finishing the groundbreaking original trilogy, introducing us to Anakin at the age of 9 as he's plucked by Qui-Gon Jinn as the Chosen One, who will bring balance to the Force. The first prequel gives us a lot of tame action and unlikely scenarios for Anakin to be in, even in a galaxy far, far away. Drinking game. That said, I've watched this recently, and it's not great, but it is quite enjoyable. I think if George had not directed them, it'd have probably been a lot better, because he's not the best director, is he? He's good for the action scenes and stuff, the visual elements, but the acting, the part where you've got to direct the actors, he's not great at, is he? So Liam Neeson steals the film. Is by far the best part of the film. That's because he's a really good actor. And he probably just ignored George. And probably George didn't have a lot to say to him because he probably just got his lines right. Anyway, the best part of the movie is its villain, Darth Maul, who has an incredible duel with the Jedi at the end of the movie. It's one of the only goosebump moments in the whole movie, heightened by John Williams' score. Yeah, I think it could be John Williams' second best score after the original Star Wars, in my opinion. Sadly, you'll have to wait over an hour to get it. Despite its flaws and giving the world Jar Jar Binks, the movie has grown on me more since having kids and seeing their reaction to the movie. Yep, George was right all along. Well, this is it, They're made for the time, that you first saw them, I suppose, as a child. But that's not the same as saying it's made for kids. It's a family film, isn't it? The family films. Attack of the Clones, number 8. I knew it'd be near the bottom. I totally disagree with this. I really like Attack of the Clones. I don't know why people don't like it. And I think it's amazing. There's a lot to enjoy about the second episode in the prequels, mainly how Ewan McGregor has fit into the Obi-Wan Kenobi role nicely. The movie focuses heavily on his storyline as he encounters Jango and Boba Fett, as well as Count Dooku. From a nostalgic standpoint, the last third of the movie brings to life dreams you've had for decades, as Lucas gives us the start of the Clone Wars, as well as Yoda having a lightsaber battle. Yeah, it's amazing. Like I said, as with all bits of the prequel trilogy, the worst parts are the dialogue and the acting, the direction given to the actors, because he doesn't know how to do it and he's never learned. Revenge of the Sith, see, they're getting all the prequel stuff out of the way early, aren't they? This means he's got The Last Jedi higher than the prequel trilogy. So whoever wrote this, I'm going to see who wrote this, is an idiot. Where are we? Where's the byline? Come on, byline, where are you? Jason Gerasio. Something to do with war, no doubt. Maybe that's Star Wars. You're an idiot, Jason. Don't know what you're talking about. The conclusion of the prequel trilogy is one of the saga's darkest. A grown Anakin is seduced by the dark side of the Force and wipes out the Jedi, including the younglings. Sorry, I'm laughing, but I just keep thinking of Robot Chicken and the sunflowers. Padme dies of a broken heart. What is this, the Middle Ages? But not before giving birth to their twins, Luke and Leia. Leia remembers her. She died when I was very young. You're not kidding, like 30 seconds old. The most agonising part of this movie to sit through is Hayden Christensen's performance as Skywalker, conflicted with the dark side, more a snivelling 20-something than a disillusioned chosen one. As they said in Thumb Wars, I forgot what they called him now. I'm talking about Luke, actually. I forgot. I can't remember what it said. I'll have to look it up. Ah, yes, the crybaby or something like that. That's what they talk about. Anyway, we don't get a good performance of that pull to the dark side until Adam Driver comes along to play Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens. No, this is it. We can only partly blame Christensen. Lucas was never big on giving actors instructions, which proved here to be costly. Yeah, the only instructions he ever gave actors was faster with more intensity, and that was it. If you liked what he did, he didn't say anything, apparently. He probably just say cut, print it, whatever, next. On the bright side, because he's not a good director. He's a visuals man. He's a good, the action scenes are cool. But the acting parts, not the best. On the bright side, another excellent performance by McGregor as Kenobi, and the duel at the end of the movie between Skywalker and Kenobi is worth the wait. Number 6, Return of the Jedi. Number 6. So they've got Last Jedi above Return of the Jedi. The final film in the original trilogy accomplishes what we needed it to. It closes that chapter of the saga by answering many of the questions that were floating around for years. As a standalone, years later, it doesn't have the lasting effects of Episode 4 and Episode 5 have in tone and storytelling, but it only improves when looking at some of the stuff that has come out since Disney got its hands on the franchise, but yet you're still putting Disney stuff above it. And it had the best space battle until Rogue One. I'm glad I haven't seen Rogue One in this list yet, because that's my favourite. Sorry, it is. The Force Awakens, and I still like The Force Awakens. Yeah, I like it a bit less now that I know, I've realised what was behind it all, and that it's just a big cash grab, because that's all that J.J. Abrams knows about, making money. Anyway, episode 7 of the saga is a wonderful combination of old and new, celebrating the legacy of the franchise while laying the foundation for the new cast. A lot of excitement comes from our love of the older movies, and director J.J. Abrams cleverly capitalises on that. All the more reason you must sympathise with Lucas, who had to come up with heavily original storylines for the prequels. Well, it was just a remake of episode 4, wasn't it? Really, when all said and done. But I did enjoy it, and I thought the acting were good in it. I said, J.J. Abrams, at least he can direct actors. He's a corporate man, but at least he can direct, which is a bit sad, really. But it did annoy me that he had to have all these changes in, just for the marketing and, merchandising. I know George Lucas were into merchandising as well, which is why he kept his merchandising rights, and that's what made him a billionaire. But it just annoys me. Changing the dish on the Millennium Falcon to a square dish instead of a round one, which kind of was explained because it got broke off in Return of the Jedi, didn't it? So you could say it got replaced by a square one, well, rectangular one. 3PO having a red arm, just so they could make red arm 3PO dolls, etc. Changing the stormtroopers, and all that. Anyway, Rogue One, a Star Wars story at number 4, which means they've got Last Jedi up above this. I bet Last Jedi is number 3. I bet it's Last Jedi, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back. I bet that's the top 3. I bet it is. Rogue One, a Star Wars story, 2016, my favourite. Rogue One introduces us to the fascinating new characters, and the story cleverly answers the question, what happened before Darth Vader boarded Princess Leia's ship in the beginning of A New Hope? It scores major points for its originality within a franchise in which it's almost impossible to do that. The beautiful thing about this movie is how it grows more and more appreciated as the years pass. Director Gareth Edwards had to battle through a slew of reshoots, but the end result is a movie that is quickly becoming, one of the most beloved and cherished in the franchise. It's my favourite. It is still my favourite Star Wars film because it is a war film. When all's said and done, it's a war film, and it's called Star Wars, and it is a war film. Along the lines of like what you used to get, Where Eagles Dare and films like that. It's like that. It's one of those. It's a war film with a band of soldiers on a desperate mission to do something, and all the action in between. The only thing I didn't like in it was that Borg gullet scene, which I thought were pointless and stupid. They should have used one of them droids, an Imperial droid on him. Dr. Ball. Should have used one of them on him, and that'd be more scary in my opinion than some CG creature with tentacles. Because it had showed how Saw Gerrera, would use Imperial tactics to get information. But they didn't do that, but anyway. Number 3, The Last Jedi. This should have been way near the bottom, if not at the bottom. Yeah, it should have been at the bottom. I can't watch this film. I can't watch it. It's that bad, in my opinion. Director Rian Johnson pulls off an almost impossible task by bringing an original spin to the Star Wars saga. His attention to the nuances of the franchise, as well as going deeper into the Jedi mythology than even Lucas did. Yeah, he had paper books. George Lucas always said there's no paper in the Star Wars saga. But he had paper books. I know they're supposed to be ancient, the ancient Jedi texts, but, Anyway, leads to an emotionally charged movie, with many shocking moments and laughs. Yeah, unintentional laughs, because it's stupid and crap. Despised by some, applauded by others, a few. Regardless where you fall, you just have to respect this movie. No, you don't, because it's rubby. It's terrible. It looks nice. That's the only thing I respect about it. It looks nice. Everything else is crap. The whole, I forgot to call it, Canto Bite scene, you can cut that out. You can cut that out entirely, and the film doesn't make any difference. It's a film of people doing things that makes no difference in the end. So it's pointless. It's a pointless film. Get it off the list. Put it at the bottom. Number 11 it should be. Number 2, A New Hope, 1977, a.k.a. Star Wars. The one that started it all. There's no denying the greatness of the original Star Wars movie. Lucas did things visually with an original score that changed not only the sci-fi genre but the idea of a blockbuster itself. Though we love and worship this franchise because of what was accomplished in The Empire Strikes Back, if it weren't for A New Hope, Star Wars, the franchise wouldn't be what it is today. Yes, and it's still an amazing film. 46 years later. Yeah, 46 years later. It's still amazing. And the score is still the best score. You can put I've got the LP, the original John Williams LP, and I've got some knockoff ones as well. You just put them on and listen to the music, and it's amazing. Anyway, number 1, The Empire Strikes Back, 1980. Stepping aside and letting director Irving Kershner and screenwriter Lawrence Kasdan take the reins of the sequel to Star Wars was the smartest decision Lucas ever made. And don't forget, Gary Kurtz was still one of the producers, which is what I think is why Return of the Jedi is not as popular as the first 2 films, because I think Gary Kurtz was fired, wasn't he? Either fired or he left during the making of Return of the Jedi, and Gary Kurtz were one of the few people who would stand up to Lucas and tell him, that no, you don't need to do this, or you should do this. Anyway. But thankfully, Richard Marquand stood up to George. George didn't want Yoda to be in Return of the Jedi. And Richard Marquand said, no, Luke needs to go back to Dagobah, and Yoda needs to confirm that Darth Vader is his father. And George just said, oh, okay, whatever. So there we go. Anyway, with a fresh set of eyes, the story expanded beyond good versus evil in the vein of the 1930s Flash Gordon serials Lucas grew up on, and into a dark, multi-layered story. Yeah, well, original Star Wars, he wanted to do Flash Gordon, didn't he? But he couldn't get the rights. Anyway, opening the movie with Luke being attacked by a Wampa. I'm a Wampa, I'm a snowman. Followed by the rebels being smoked out of their secret base by the Empire, showed that all bets were off. Anything can and does happen in this movie. The reveal of Darth Vader as Luke's father is still one of the greatest twists in movie history. But as the years go by, it's the shot of Han Solo frozen in carbonite in bread that still gets me. Yeah, it is an amazing film. It's still not my favourite. It'd be my 3rd favourite, I think. I'd go Rogue One, the original Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back. Because I think Empire dips in the middle. When basically Luke on Dagobah is the bit where my attention wanders, to be honest. But the rest of it is amazing, and it could be the only one I watch all the credits of, because the end credit music is astonishing. It's really good. So there we go. So that's it. That's it for that. My cat's jumping up at the window like a lunatic. Crackers. Just bear with me. I'll go and let her in. So I'll do a be right back. There we go. Right, I'm back. Can you hear me? How do I get rid of this? Oh, like that. There we go. No, I've pressed the wrong button. Hang on. Live. There we go. Oh, cracky. I didn't know what buttons to press then. They were all going wrong. Right, so that's all the Star Wars news. It's not really news, is it? But never mind. Star Trek parody Khan the musical begins performances off-Broadway on May the 4th. Is that a dig? Could be. The parody Trektacular pays homage to 1982 Star Trek The Wrath of Khan. Khan the musical. Khan. The human adventure is just beginning. See what he did there. And Khan the musical is too. The musical, an irreverent parody of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and Star Trek The Next Generation, boldly ventures off Broadway, beginning May the 4th, beaming into Players Theatre. Hang on, I'm doing the wrong thing here. Hang on, where are we? Doing the wrong thing. Where have I put it? There we go. Move you over a tad. There we go. Khan the Musical features Zachary Kropp as Khan, Julian Manjerico as Data, Clayton Matthews as Sulu and Chekhov. How does that work? I don't know. Lindsay Emmy Newton as Bones and Scotty. Max Nussbaum as Spock, Crystal Marie Stewart as Uhura and Carol Marcus. I'm guessing these don't share scenes. Shireporn Thera Kulstit. Okay, as Kirk, and Laura Wittenberger as Savick. Who the heck is... I'm going to have to look that person up. Search with Bing. Right, we'll do that. Search with Bing. Images. It's not showing any images. Why? Open a new tab. It's not showing any images. Is he a secret? Hang on. Where are you going? Go away. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Which one is he? I don't know. I don't know. He's got his IMDb. Let's have a look. There he is. That's Kirk. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Right. Go away. Thank you. Right, where were we? Shireporn Thera Kulstit as Kirk and Laura Wittenberger as Savick. Set in 2366, and the time frame of Star Trek The Next Generation, Khan is a camp-heavy exploration of Data, the android's attempt at adapting the history of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, into a musical. Ah, right. Resulting in a comedic mixture of William Shatner impressions, mutant space chickens, and Vulcan tap dancing. The coming... Well, Data learned to tap dance, didn't he, from Dr. Crusher. The coming-of-middle-age story remains mostly true to the original film, with the sci-fi silliness turned up to 11. See what they did there? Bit of Spinal Tap. Khan the Musical is co-written, composed and features lyrics by Brent Black, with additional material by co-conceiver Alina Morgan. John Lamp will direct. Or is it Lampy? Don't know. The production also features scenic design by people we don't know and all that stuff. A lot of episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation feature storylines where Data has to learn something through trial and error, usually going a little too far or taking things a bit too literally. The idea that he would write a musical after studying classic Broadway shows of the past opened the concept of the show even wider to include send-ups of classic musicals. Star Trek has always been ahead of the curve in terms of inclusivity and representation, and it's nice that this campy comedy show still maintains the spirit of that future Gene Roddenberry envisioned when he created the original TV show, said Black in a previous statement. It's always been ahead of the curve because it never mentioned it, or very rarely. It was all just taken for granted, and nobody had to highlight it. Although the odd episode it did, particularly with the Uhura and the Uhura when she encountered Abraham Lincoln. I think that's the only time I can recall, that sort of thing being mentioned, colour being mentioned, and it wasn't in a bad way. Uhura set him right and showed that she wasn't offended by what he said, and but there you go. Anyway, but that's by the by. So there you go. Khan the Musical begins off-Broadway. I've never understood when they say off-Broadway. There's like side streets. There's like Broadway with all the theatres, and there's like side streets with little theatres on. I don't know. I've never been, so I don't understand. I'm not into theatre, to be honest. I've been to a couple of pantomimes and stuff like that. Right, last story. This is a fun one, I suppose. Ancient Greek statue from 100 BC of woman using a laptop sparks time travel theories. The statue is called Grave Neskos, like the Kurlan Neskos from Star Trek, of an enthroned woman with an attendant, and has sparked wild conspiracy theories as the woman in the image appears to be looking at a laptop. That's not it, by the way. That's just a photo of somebody using a laptop, because, we don't know what that looks like. An ancient Greek statue dating back to around 100 BC has caused, nowadays they'd say 100 BCE, wouldn't they? But never mind. Has caused massive chaos among time travel conspiracy theorists. The 37-inch marble statue was discovered in Greece and given the snappy name of Grave Neskos, of an enthroned woman with an attendant. The statue shows a woman sitting in what appears to be an armchair, while an attendant or slave holds some kind of folding item. The item clearly looks like a laptop and appears to have some kind of USB port type holes on the side of it. It can be seen on display in the J. Paul Getty Museum in California, United States, and recent images of it have sparked mad theories, with some adamant that it really is a laptop that the woman is looking at. And there it is. So she's sitting in a chair. She's actually massive if you look at it. So is this it's either an attendant or a child. I would say it's a child, personally. It's either that or she's a giant. She could be a god. You know, the gods are said to be huge, aren't they? I don't know. But there it is, with the USB ports. But, you know, it's not a folding, it's just an L-shaped whatever, isn't it? It could be, you know, it could be said, here's the tiles. Here's the tiles that the man's just delivered for the new roof on the conservatory. Is this good enough, milady? And she's saying, oh, yes, that's very well made. Tell him to leave the rest. Probably. One person on Twitter wrote, is this ancient Greek statue showing a laptop proof of time travel? I keep biting my lip. And the second posted, oh, look, it even has 2 USB ports. There could be, you know, ports. There could be Ethernet ports, or it could be ports for the headphone and microphone. A third added, is this ancient Greek... Oh, the power lead. A third added, is this ancient Greek statue proof of someone took a laptop back in time, or is it a tablet? Several users were quick to point out that it could actually have been a double-sided mirror, which were common in ancient Greek times. However, the Getty Institute put forward a very simple explanation for what the item is, and it has nothing to do with time travel or technology of any kind. Quelle surprise! Although they do admit that the shallow box raises several questions, and there's a close-up. As I say, is it a box? I said I don't know. It's just an L-shaped something. It could be anything. It could be anything. Anyway. The strange object appears to have USB ports. Well, round ones. I don't know any round USB ports, do you? Oh. They claim the 2 holes apparent on its base are evidence of an ancient repair, perhaps in the form of 2 metal pins intended to hold a now lost marble component in place. Maybe it was a shelf. Yeah, maybe it was a shelf. Maybe there's supposed to be the rest of the L-shaped shelf sticking out, and you plonked a vase on it. You know, whatever. The thinness of the box... not a box, indicates that, like many works of ancient art, this relief was not intended as a photographic depiction of reality, but to convey the wealth and status of the deceased. Because it said it from a grave, didn't it? Yeah, so it's a memorial, innit? So yeah, it probably did, actually. Could have had the bloody ashes on, for all we know. Like I say, or some plant, you know, a vase with some flowers in, you know, because they did that, didn't they? We do it now. Although the box appears too shallow to hold anything substantial, we can identify it as a jewellery box by comparison. Why? With other funerary reliefs that depict women pulling ribbons or jewellery out of larger, more naturalistic boxes. Or maybe, as I said, it's a shelf to put a vase on and she's picking a flower from the vase or whatever. Because she's not pulling anything out of the box because she's holding the top part there. Maybe she's opened it. But it's not a box, because there's no hinge. If they wanted to go super accurate. Anyway, so it's not a laptop, not a tablet, not a mirror, and might be a jewellery box. We're sure that kind of clarity will stop the time travel conspiracy theorists. Because it is a laptop. But it's not a laptop, because they didn't have laps in 100 BC. I don't know what I'm talking about. Get George Sukalos onto it. He'll sort it out. He'd say it were aliens. Or, what's his face? Childress. I forgot his bloody name now. I've done an interview with him. David Hatcher Childress, get him on it. It's clearly a laptop. Does he know Lloyd Grossman? Anyway, whatever. Yeah, it's not. It's like I say. I bet they will have like little pins in, and it held on like a sticky out a bit of a shelf that they probably put a vase on with some flowers or something like that, or an effigy, of the deceased person. I bet it was something like that along those lines. If it were from a grave, so there we go. I just thought that were a bit of fun because So I wonder they didn't say what else. What else can we see? What else can we see in this? That's obviously a representation of a spark plug or some form of. No, it's not a spark plug. That is what do they call it? Suspension. So it's obviously sitting in a car because that's one of the suspensions attached to the wheel. And they're obviously Christians because there's crosses, look. So they're obviously Orthodox Greek from 100 BC, before Jesus were born. Time travel again. Anyway, we'll leave it there. I just thought that were a bit of fun. Right, so I'm going to go now and hang out my washing because the washing machine has finished. Thank you, Darth. Oh, video paused. Continue watching. Unbelievable. I bet adverts are about to come on. I'll leave it. Thank you, Darth, for being a nice background. Have a nice rest of Star Wars Day, and may the 4th be with you. But the last word obviously goes to what's his face? Obi-Wan Kenobi. But we'll have the outro first, and then Obi-Wan Kenobi can say his immortal line, and I can say my immortal line. Wherever you are, look after each other, and until next time, I'll see thee.
The Force will be with you, always.